feel like it's really important to talk about sometimes how we can use helping others as a really important learning opportunity for ourselves. We get to learn when we help others, and in effect, when we help others, we are helping ourselves. And it's an important one to remember when we might feel a little competitive, if you will, or a little like we're a little lost. Sometimes stepping into a kind of mentorship as the mentor, whether it's officially or unofficially, can be a really, really important thing, or a really, really useful thing if we feel a little lost, or if we feel like we're only helping others and no one's helping us. It's just a bit of a mindset and perspective shift as well. And obviously, and of course, it goes almost without saying, except I'm going to say it anyway, that this doesn't apply if you are feeling drained and if you really, really need to take self-care into count here. But this is more around when it comes to those circumstances, when it comes to helping others, and what we can actually get out of it as well from a completely okay selfish perspective. So selfishness isn't actually a negative thing. It just depends on how it's used. So one thing that we benefit from when we help others is, think if you're talking to a friend and you're just giving them advice about something that's bothering them, is that we often, when we feed back things to them, we remember things that we knew but we've forgotten. So it's a really great opportunity to remember those things, and even if we've been doing them unconsciously, it's an opportunity to revisit and do them a little more on purpose again. Maybe they need a little shifting in how we do them, or maybe there's a slightly different way now that we can do them. So we get to remember things that might have slipped our minds or sort of gone to the back of our minds over time. That just gives us a little bit more value again. We also learn by asking other people questions, helps us to embody what those questions and what our answers mean for us. So by saying things out loud, rather than just getting on this loop in our minds over and over again, by actually saying things out loud, even if it's in the effort and attempts to assist another person, by asking those questions, we kind of get to step into the importance of what those mean for us. Even if we're not actively focusing on that in the moment, we get to go, oh, well, yeah, I do feel really good when someone actually checks in that way versus this way, or whatever it is. So we get to learn and embody more rather than just logically know or cognitively know. And once we embody it is then when it starts to actually really have that positive impact. We also learn different perspectives by hearing things differently. So we may be talking to a friend or a mentee who has been in a similar situation to one that you've been in. And it can be easy to go straight to well, this is how it's going to be. This is how you have to do it because that's how I did it, or that's what I learned that I should have done, and la la la. And you can definitely share your perspective. But when you get to hear a different perspective from another person about a situation that otherwise looks very similar or sounds very similar, then we get to learn a little bit more about what certain elements of that story means, and how different people function and how different people work. And the more that we learn about that, the more that we cultivate our emotional intelligence and understanding, and the more we have understanding of other people, which helps us to connect a little deeper. So there is a very big flow on effect when that happens. Another one that I like to talk about in this arena is that success, doing well, wealth, all of that is infinite. It is not finite. And we receive more of those things by being in that creative energy when we are helping others to achieve that for themselves. Whatever it is, maybe it's a small step to it, or depends on what you are talking about. Maybe it's on a personal level, success in relationships or with their partner, and when they succeed in some small way, we actually cultivate more of that success energy and that creation energy within us. So it is not a finite, these things are not finite resources. They are infinite, but we just have to create more of it and be in that creative energy of it. So when we help others with theirs, again, as long as it's not draining you or distracting you from time and energy you need to spend on your own. But if you're in that role of providing advice to a friend or as a mentor, that can really help create more of that energy for you as well. There is a quote that Jim Rohn has, it's most attributed to him. It kind of goes back to Confucius. There's different iterations of how to say it, but the quote is, "We are the average of our 5 closest friends," of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. And what that means is that we will automatically pick up on mindset and mental patterns and habits and physical patterns as well of the people that we spend the most time with. So it's partly to say, yes, be choosy with who you spend time with, but it is also to say that the more that we lift or inspire or help or assist or whatever it is, those people around us, the more that they can grow, and the more that might inspire you in different ways. So that is a really key thing to remember. And these points so far have all been largely, what can I get out of it from that perspective? And again, I want to revisit the idea and the perception of the word selfish that we might have. And selfish gets a bad rap. Selfishness gets a bad rap. It's not to say it's always good at all, but selfishness, much like setting boundaries or not overgiving because you just can't, you don't have the energy or whatever it is, selfishness can be a kindness. So as long as the intentions are there, selfishness doesn't mean you're only in it for yourself. It means that you can still and are still allowed to identify what in that is another benefit as well. You can see the whole picture, because if we cut off that element, then we just see the picture of assisting someone. But if we can see the whole picture of what we might get out of it as well, we might have more energy to put into it and go, actually, yeah. And then when we are talking to them, we are in it for them, but just knowing in the background, we might have this sense of fulfillment, or we might walk away with this different sense, which brings me to, we reduce stress when we help those around us to thrive, when we help those who we love to thrive, because when we love and care about someone or people, we want to see them happy. We want to see them thrive and have energy and all of these things. So in some way, it reduces our levels of stress because we know that they're good and that there's a little more lightness in our worlds, and that makes a huge difference to how we then feel and how we can then perceive things and how our mindset is around things as well.